Tools have always been essential to human survival, dating back to the oldest and most declined instruments. The spear, a basic sharpened stick that altered the path of human history, was crucial. Spears were more than simply weapons. They were products of human ingenuity that were employed for hunting, protecting, and, as archaic as it may appear, this item symbolized a strong bond between people and their early humans, created these instruments to suit their needs in an environment where they had nothing but their cunning and what nature had to offer. Spears were more than simply weapons of mass destruction. They represented survival for millennia. But instruments that made it possible for humanity to confront predators, other tribes, and the environment. The spear's simplicity belied it and turned the odds in favor of the human mind over sheer might. Its efficacy demonstrates that innovation is not always about complexity, but rather usefulness. Yet, in light of sophisticated technology, this symbol of tenacity appeared antiquated, even absurd. When aliens first saw humanity, it was immediately clear that they were superior. Possessed weaponry beyond human comprehension, had perfected interstellar travel, and wore armor that appeared invincible to any demons. If their understanding of people was influenced by these differences to creatures that had beyond the necessity of tangible implements, the spear stood for everything antiquated and primitive about Earth's residents. It served as a reminder and emblem of a species that was trapped in its evolutionary, endless rite of passage. Their weapons could break things down at the molecular level. Thus, the aliens' haughtiness was not unjustified in infancy level, making the majority of Earth-based defenses ineffective. Their armor is made from a marvel of engineering. The materials were lightweight, impermeable, and unrecognizable to human science. Inflexible in contrast to the accuracy and strength of their technology, the wooden spear shaft appeared pathetic in the beginning. Meanings. The aliens' derision was obvious. They saw people grabbing spears as though they were clinging to a dying legacy. Legacy found it humorous to observe a primitive species clinging on to implements that had no possibility of getting past these superior species' advanced defenses. The spear was more than ineffectual. It was a farce that stood in sharp contrast to their highly advanced weapons. However, humans did not share the aliens' viewpoint toward the people of Earth. The spear was not only a weapon, but also a representation of resistance. Its use in these conflicts was not a result of ignorance. However, in the absence of their invaders' sophisticated weapons, humanity had to rely on what they had always used: flexibility, ingenuity, and an unwavering spirit that propels the spear in spite of its fellows. These ideals were weighed down by simplicity, and the initial conflicts were degrading. For humanity, armed with crude firearms and slings, they encountered an adversary whose technology was so sophisticated that it appeared to be magic. The aliens not only prevailed, but also ruled. These victories, which eliminated opposition with little effort, only deepened the aliens' disdain. Despite the fact that they had encountered and subdued several other primitive species, humans were no different from them. The spear was mocked because the human reaction to setbacks was not hopelessness but drive, became a focal point because it stood for an immaterial form of hope. Every setback forced humanity to reflect, grow, and adjust, but the aliens rejected them as helpless human beings, silently watched for flaws, examining trends, and the difference between the two sides was evident as they experimented with their limited resources. But it also produced, despite all of its brilliance, the aliens' technology lacked a blind spot. One important component was humility. They thought their achievements rendered them impervious to harm, yet this conceit left them much less likely to last on society than those who uttered the conceit that led to needs of higher justice from others. They were overconfident and undervalued the creativity that came from need. The battles also revealed something about the aliens. They turned evil because, contrary to popular belief, no human being on Earth is high enough to be in the process of creation. Inventiveness that only occurs when survival is at stake. Their dependence on technology has hindered their capacity to adjust as they had anticipated. Resistance to disintegrate, just as it had on many other worlds, the idea that people could learn and react in unexpected ways. They never considered significant alternatives, and their rejection of the spear was a symptom of a more serious weakness. In their manner, they only perceived weakness where opportunity existed. As the minor disagreements persisted, change started to show people weren't just attacking mindlessly, they were also learning and discovering time to take advantage of even the slightest errors that render the spear useless. Began to develop experiments using various materials, designs, and strategies, transformed it from a simple sharpened stick into a tool of strategy and accuracy that those who persisted despite the aliens' mockery of humanity's initial attempts. They were unaware of the change in the translucent rings. They were oblivious to the spear's effortless advancement because of their derision. It was gradually evolving into a tool that would someday defy the odds and serve as a symbol of defiance. The aliens misjudged humanity itself, underestimating the spear, overlooked the fact that often the most basic tools can have the most powerful effects, mistaking simplicity for weakness. Influence. It was not the spear itself that would alter the conflict's trajectory, but rather what it stood for. The capacity to, despite the immense odds, this realization will help you adapt, innovate, and persevere. The turning point, however, started with an unintentional discovery that would arrive too late for the invaders. Serendipity that changed the power dynamics. Humanity had been frantically looking for strategies to combat the intruders, scrutinizing every facet of their technological conduct and environmental. Thus, the solution came from Earth itself rather than from advanced science. A long-overlooked natural component proved to be the secret to breaking through the seemingly impregnable armor of the A group of academics. Curiosity and desperation collided to lead to the discovery of aliens. Analyzing the remains of extraterrestrial contacts revealed an odd reaction when specific Earth minerals came into contact with the abundant but previously unimportant substance had properties when found in fragments of the alien armor. It was chemistry, not brute force, that caused the armor's molecular structure to become unstable upon touch. Mismatch between this special Earth resource and the extraterrestrial design. This insight spurred scientists and craftsmen to begin experiments right away. Together, they worked to modify this substance for use in weapons, testing its use on the most straightforward and accessible instruments, with an emphasis on effectiveness and speed. The spear is already a symbol of resilience, served as the basis for these studies, and its layout made it simple to incorporation of the substance, turning it from a wooden stick into a deadly weapon against the brawn. The invasion process was laborious, and the initial prototypes were erratic and failed to duplicate. The following initial success, researchers refined the material's qualities by delving deeper. Techniques to fully utilize it. The breakthrough occurred when they figured out how to stabilize and shape the substance without sacrificing its special properties. After stabilizing, it may be applied to spearheads to guarantee their resilience and their capacity to go past alien defenses. The following difficulty was, even with little time and money, humanity had to tackle the monumental challenge of providing as many individuals with the necessary equipment. Communities banded together with this improved weapon, combining money and effort to mass produce the improved spears. The procedure wasn't flawless, but it was sufficient to offer hope that each spear served as a demonstration of human ingenuity as much as a weapon. Having carried out preliminary experiments against the aliens, tiny strategic strikes were intended to verify the efficacy of the improved spears. The outcomes were astounding. What had previously been a futile, now, that effort had yielded observable successes. The alien armor that had endured every previous attempt failed against the substance, and the invaders were shaken by the sight of their fortifications collapsing. For the first time since their arrival, they felt confident, and their newfound effectiveness resulted in rapid innovation. The spear's basic design changed over time, taking into account the lessons engineers and blacksmiths put in endless effort to perfect the weapon's penetration and reach balance. Diverse combat conditions led to the emergence of capability. Variations, some of which were created for extended range throws, but some concentrated on fighting at close quarters. Every iteration was evaluated under actual circumstances, with input from soldiers fighting on the front lines. Pushing forward enhancements, this discovery had a significant psychological influence on the evolution of humanity. From survival to resistance was signaled by the improved spears. Emblems of defined sense that unite people worldwide in support of the aliens. Their attitude of superiority was unexpectedly shattered by the armor's startling vulnerability. Such flexibility from a species they considered archaic. The understanding that their technology was not perfect made them reconsider their strategy in spite of these obstacles to advancement. Despite its effectiveness, the substance could not be extracted and processed indefinitely, needed careful coordination, and while it was abundant in certain places, it was scarce in others. This logistical obstacle required effective resource allocation, giving priority to frontline troops and key regions. Demonstrating humanity's capacity to understand our feelings and thinking as the need to coordinate under pressure grew more important than the weapons themselves, the aliens started to react. Modified their tactics, concentrating on removing the material sources and focused on production centers. These attempts were only partially successful, causing supply chains to break and humanity to continuously move its activities. But the effort's decentralized structure and the participants' unwavering resolve made sure that production never completely stopped. With every conflict, humanity improved not only its weaponry but also its strategies. The improved spears enabled a change in battle approach that focused on over-brute force, small ordinated units. Mobility and accuracy became the standard. These forces frequently outnumbered the alien formations by employing the spears to take advantage of their weaknesses. And outgunned depended on quickness and surprise to make the most of their weapons as wins piled up. As the material significance increased, it turned into a unifying force and a symbol of resistance. Its discovery and application showed the strength of humankind in a variety of civilizations and geographical areas, adaptability transforming what appeared to be a weakness into a strength. In reaction to this, the aliens used the spear that had previously been ridiculed as a tool for humanity's rebirth. Their dependence on cutting-edge technology had made them comfortable, but advancement exposed their own limitations. While they adjusted in certain areas, they were not ready for the kind of desperation-driven creativity that they attempted to counter the upgraded spears in a reactive rather than proactive manner. But they lacked the flexibility to accomplish this successfully. This rigidity, in conjunction with humanity's unwavering perseverance, started to shift the power dynamics. The procedure of a key distinction between the two sides for humanity was brought to light by turning the material into a weapon. Was a team effort that combined traditional wisdom with contemporary creativity, and each spear stood for numerous hours of work, creativity, and sacrifice for the aliens. This difference highlighted the fact that technology has always been a given, something that has been passed down and refined over generations. The improved spears were more than simply weapons. They were the fortitude and courage to get them farther. Inventiveness that characterized the human spirit, emblems of promise, demonstrating that against overwhelming odds, creativity and obtusity, and despite all of their accomplishments, the aliens had underestimated the human capacity for resolve. A new stage in the fight began with the material's discovery and incorporation into the spear, one in which the balance of power changed, humanity's survival was assured, and the advancement of the discovery of the improved spear signaled the start of a coordinated defense humanity had previously dispersed, and reactives started to come together with a common goal. This newfound unity was a pivotal element in turning irregular battles into a planned campaign. People, governments, and communities put aside their differences to create a coordinated network of opposition. This change was not only tactical, but also psychological, and people started to think that they could win. Activities aimed at expanding the production and distribution of the upgraded spears factories and workshops, where recycled and knowledgeable artisans were called upon to optimize efficiency because few resources presented a difficulty but creative ways to recycle scrap metal and proximate in order to ensure that the weapons reached the front lines. The spear, once a deficit, was filled by recovering alien technology. A basic instrument evolved into the foundation of human defense strategy. Leaders of the critical resistance examined alien movements and created focused strikes. These activities gave priority to sabotaging alien supply networks, crucial installations, and taking advantage of holes in enemy formations. The upgraded spear demonstrated indispensable in these missions, allowing small combat units to defeat superior officers. Because force mobility and accuracy were valued more highly than direct conflict, individuals were able to determine the parameters of the cornerstone. The cornerstone of this approach is engagement guerrilla tactics, in which combatants utilize the terrain to their advantage by using urban ruins, mountains, and woodlands to ambush. The spear's versatility and simplicity made it perfect for these circumstances. It required no ammo and could be utilized successfully in confined spaces. This adaptability allowed combatants should keep the invaders under strain without depending on intricate logistics for every successful mission. Stories of triumph soon circulate, boosting spirits and motivating others to join the resistance. Civilians made a variety of contributions, including as gathering information and making weapons. Intelligence. The battle against the invaders became into a team effort that brought people from many social and regional divisions. The upgraded spear became more than just a weapon. It was a representation of fortitude and solidarity. Aliens used to overwhelming technical superiority found it difficult to modify their original plan of action. Intimidation, and brute force, but these tactics didn't work against the mobility's decentralized opposition. The human fighters' unpredictable behavior interfered with their operations, requiring them to invest in extensive protection. Overall, this change represented a major benefit for humanity since it halted the invasion's progress and purchased valuable resistance leaders, improved their strategies over time by adjusting to the changing nature of the fight. They coordinated attacks after identifying the main alien weaknesses and adjusting their actions accordingly. The aliens were crippled by the targeted supply depots, communication centers, and power sources. However, even though they were small scale, these attacks added together to make the invaders' hold on Earth weaker. Each defeat has a significant psychological impact on the aliens. Their sense of invincibility was weakened, and their once unwavering confidence gave way to frustration and apprehension for humanity. These wins strengthened the conviction that the invaders might be routed, and this increasing force encouraged further innovation as academics and fighters put up endless effort to refine their techniques. Additionally, the resistance modified its recruitment and training strategy, with veterans imparting their skills to new recruits. Training focused on agility, teamwork, and innovative problem-solving in order to establish a cycle of continuous improvement. Given the unpredictability of the combat, the spear's improved design became essential to this process, both as a tool and a representation of defiance. Cooperation between researchers and fighters was essential to sustaining the resistances. The spear's design was continuously improved based on field reports of its efficiency, guaranteeing that it remained. This cyclical procedure demonstrated humanity's strength and adaptability and proved effective against changing alien tactics. The weapon became more flawless with each innovation, making it a powerful weapon against even the most comprehensive. The success of the resistance also hinged on its capacity to defeat sophisticated alien defenses. Preserved morale in spite of the ongoing fear of annihilation, individuals managed to help one another and keep their stories of bravery and ingenuity served as motivational reminders. The spear served as a physical representation of what the combatants were battling for: Because of this fortitude, it became a symbol of unity when the aliens tried to combat the Resistance's increasing power by using heavy weapons and advanced reconnaissance to eliminate human fighters. But these actions also brought about setbacks and exposed the invaders. Despite being powerful, their reliance on technology lacked flexibility due to desperation and inventiveness of human strategies. This essential distinction provided the Resistance with a competitive advantage, enabling them to resist more quickly than their counterparts and effectively capture the capital advantages that they generated through their initiative on Switzerland. Superior opponents persevere in the face of tremendous odds, shown the effectiveness of group efforts and innovation. The spear evolved from a basic instrument to become the personification of this spirit after being improved and developed to a powerful weapon, demonstrated humanity's ability to overcome obstacles and transform setbacks into strengths. The invaders overlooked this resilience in spite of all their accomplishments, an error that would ultimately came at a great cost to them as the war went on and the Resistance's gains increased more. Previously unbreakable defenses were breached and more larger alien installations were attacked. The spear was previously derided, but these victories signaled a sea change in the balance of power favoring humanity, had evolved into a representation of victory, a monument to the resourcefulness and willpower that characterized human efforts. The end result of the Resistance's efforts was a string of well-planned campaigns that forced the invaders to their limitations. Each operation improved on the knowledge gained from earlier conflicts, exhibiting a degree of planning and spear handled by resolute fighters in an execution that beyond the aliens' expectations played a crucial part in these triumphs, demonstrating that even the most basic instruments may alter the path of history. By when the war had completely changed, the spear was more than just a weapon. It was a representation of the capacity of humanity to adapt, invent, and come together in the face of insurmountable obstacles. Despite their superior technological capabilities, the aliens had underestimated human power. Because the Resistance used every advantage to accomplish its ultimate objective, this miscalculation proved to be devastating. The alien invaders were first certain of their supremacy in terms of survival and freedom, started to feel the pressure of their protracted assault on Earth, the increasing effectiveness of the Resistance, identified flaws in their approach, technology, and strategy for the first time. This change in viewpoint came at a moment when the aliens had to face the potential that their conquest would fail, produced serious internal upheavals that revealed weaknesses in their ranks. The invaders' dependence on technology, which had previously guaranteed their supremacy, turned against them. Yet, their sophisticated systems, powerful, needed ongoing upkeep and particular environmental circumstances to operate at their best, the erratic and the Earth's varied landscape, and humanity's willful destruction of vital infrastructure. The logistical difficulties faced by the aliens, who were not used to prolonged battles on planets with limited resources, weakened their activities, and communication between the foreign troops also started to deteriorate. Their concentrated control was upset by Resistance's focused attacks on command centers and relay stations, which compelled the invaders to work alone, and this disarray caused them to become more. The lack of real-time communication made them even more susceptible to the Resistance's concerted attacks. Their capacity to adjust to quickly shifting conditions stands in sharp contrast to the adaptability exhibited by their peers. The aliens' morale began to decline, undermining the human foes' initial. They had underestimated the ingenuity and tenacity of their people, because they believed that humanity was inferior. Opponents, as the Resistance's gains grew, alien troops experienced increasing annoyance and questioned their sense of Anna's stories of people breaking through their armor, replaced the formerly unassailable invincibility. Using crude weaponry turned into a source of embarrassment and terror, undermining their technological confidence. Advantage. These changes had a psychological cost that went beyond the battlefield. The invaders, who had hardly faced fierce opposition during earlier invasions, were ill-prepared for sustained combat, and their hierarchical obscurity, although effective under ideal circumstances, the framework left limited opportunity for autonomous decision-making. Because of this inflexibility, lower-ranked officials were unable to adequately handle the particular difficulties presented by Earth's resistance, made their problems even worse, and their attempts to modify their strategy were not very successful. Heavy armor and new defensive techniques were brought by the aliens, although these developments were reactionary rather than without addressing the root reasons. They were aggressive in their root reasons. They were aggressive in their efforts to oppose the improved spears and guerrilla tactics. Among their shortcomings, this strategy demonstrated their excessive dependence on technology and incapacity to expect both major and minor obstacles. The resistance's unpredictable nature. Challenge human fighters continuously changed tactics, taking advantage of flaws as the aliens showed up, were unable to adequately retaliate with their conceit had left them unprepared for a protracted campaign. And as their efforts to reclaim control grew more frantic, resources were taken away from other projects to maintain their efforts on Earth. While putting pressure on their larger goals through this asset redistribution indicated that they saw Earth's resistance as a significant danger, but it also showed the boundaries of their human resistance, as ability to recognize the invaders' increasing troubles led it to step up its efforts and launch targeted strikes. Targeting production centers and supply systems, as well as key personnel, severely undermined the aliens' absolute honor. Each victory was carefully planned to maximize the invaders' losses and minimize human casualties. This deliberate strategy stood in stark contrast to the aliens' previous brute force tactics, emphasizing the importance of resilience. In particular, they were able to defend their position. Due to a fundamental fault in the power dynamics, their strategy's dependence on technology had limited their capacity for creativity. In contrast to humanity, which flourished on ingenuity and flexibility, the invaders were, due to the rigidity of their systems and rules, they were able to combat the dynamic, and they encountered changing opposition on Earth as the resistance persisted in outwitting the invaders. The aliens' effects made them more aware that their highly developed technology may be overpowered by. They were forced to face their own limitations by a species they had previously considered inferior. This self-examination, however, their ranks were further destabilized by the dread of failure, in conjunction with the humiliation of losing to what they had written off as antiquated equipment, fostered a climate of uncertainty, and, eventually, the combination of these elements led the aliens to a crucial point when their original plan, which was founded on tremendous power and technological superiority, were no longer sustainable in the face of. As their losses increased and their morale declined, they were compelled to think about retreating. Although pragmatism had important ramifications for their larger goals, it was an uncommon and expensive failure. Earthly war was a sobering reminder of the perils of underestimating one's opponent. Due to their presumptions of superiority, aliens had failed to recognize the power that humanity got from its supposed superiority. However, the Resistance's flexibility, inventiveness, and fortitude demonstrated the importance of same characteristics despite the aliens' overwhelming odds. In addition to being a military disaster, the Earth campaign taught humility by exposing the shortcomings of their methodology and the necessity of reconsidering their tactics, and more crucially, future interactions highlighted the unpredictability of warfare, where the result is influenced by both the technology and the triumph over the aliens was a turning point in human history due to the perseverance and ingenuity of those involved. However, it also had lasting effects and important lessons, so the victory wasn't just because of the improved spear or tactical successes. Humanity's adaptation and resilience were demonstrated. Through teamwork, this struggle altered viewpoints, exposing both weaknesses and strengths that would determine Earth's destiny. The invasion's aftermath brought both joy and relief, but also a profound understanding. How precarious human survival is, the resistance had accomplished what appeared to be impossible, but the way to victory revealed crucial weaknesses in Earth's readiness. The aliens had misjudged humanity, yet their initial dominance highlighted the planet's susceptibility to outside dangers, which sparked an urgent need for introspection and planning. Global unity created via common suffering emerged as one of the most important results. Countries that had previously acted alone acknowledged the political, cultural, and ideological differences were put aside in favor of cooperation. Fostering an unparalleled degree of collaboration during the struggle, this spirit of solidarity continued to exist as leaders attempted to formalize the frameworks that had developed during the conflict. New partnerships centered on resource sharing and collective security served as the cornerstone of a more linked. The spear, which had been instrumental in the resistance, came to symbolize this unity and more. Rather than a weapon, it embodied the resourcefulness and tenacity that characterized humanity's reaction to the invasion. To memorialize those who had fought and fallen, monuments and cultural objects honoring the spear were made. Its legacy served as a reminder of how crucial creativity and adaptation are when faced with hardship. Practically speaking, the struggle changed humanity's perspective on science. And despite its simplicity, technology's improved spear showed the value of innovative problem-solving. Scholars started investigating the substance that had made the spear's effectiveness possible. In an effort to comprehend its characteristics and possible uses, this renewed interest resulted in advances in metallurgy and energy. As material science and storage increased humanity's technological might, the opposition also demonstrated the benefits of decentralization and centralized systems flexibility. While efficiency had shown itself susceptible to focused strikes, whilst the decentralized strategy of the opposition had permitted it to endure and prosper in spite of attempts by aliens to shut down its activities. This lesson affected the redesigning vital infrastructure with a focus on redundancy and resilience to prevent single points of failure. Could the military tactics of global systems be comparable? Changed the conflict and brought attention to the shortcomings of traditional methods that prioritize adaptability and innovation over rapid asymmetric techniques were given priority in future defensive strategy for sheer power. The success of the resistance prompted a reassessment of creativity and the incorporation of other skill sets. What made the shift in emphasis from advanced weapons to mentality and flexibility in warfare effective? The invasion had a significant psychological influence on those who wielded it, both personally and socially. The experience of confronting and conquering a person so bound by fear that they fear death if not released from prison was an empowerment, since humanity had demonstrated its capacity to overcome difficulties and inspire hope that even the most difficult problems may be solved. This increased self-assurance was restrained by a recognition of the price of such successes and the necessity of retaining the freedom to control their own mobility, and that together with the base-broken technology and unresolved issues, the aliens' retreat left behind a legacy of undertakings. Reflection: humanity struggled with the moral ramifications of its triumph and the character of its connection with the larger universe. Human ingenuity alone did not cause the invader to fail. Additionally, their own conceit and incapacity to adjust to this insight led to conversations about how humanity may steer clear of similar mistakes, and its linkages with the endeavors of other civilizations to examine. While a large portion of their equipment had been damaged or rendered useless, repurposing extraterrestrial technology became a priority. Unusable during the battle, the remnants provided insightful information about reverse engineering these technologies, gave insight into cutting-edge scientific concepts, propelling advancement in fields like materials engineering and energy efficiency. Communication systems are two examples of these. In addition to bolstering Earth's defenses, findings had broad civilian implications. Concerns over humanity's future place in the universe were also brought up by the fight. The experience of defending Earth from an alien invasion generated discussions on whether the planet should stay defensive and isolated or adopt a. This conversation demonstrated a more proactive attitude to investigating and interacting with the larger universe, increasing understanding of how humanity is linked to other possible civilizations, and the necessity of a balanced strategy for cultural inquiry and security. The invasion and stories of resistance and subsequent victory changed perceptions of humanity's role in the cosmos. Triumph became essential to the global identities that shaped literature, art, and philosophically. The conflict served as a reminder of humanity's capacity for innovation and unity, which could inspire future generations to uphold these principles, while simultaneously cultivating a feeling of humility, acknowledging that the existence of Earth had relied as much on luck and willpower as it had on power and opportunity. The invasion's teachings on critical thinking were incorporated into educational systems as a tactic. The success of the resistance showed how crucial flexibility and teamwork are. Of these abilities, emphasizing the necessity of preparing the next generation for challenges educational institutions included the conflict's history into their curricula, guaranteeing that the resistance's experiences and sacrifices would never be forgotten, and the triumph also sparked environmental concerns, resource-based reflection. It was discovered that there were limited amounts of the material that had made the improved spear possible. The conflict highlighted the need for ethical extraction and sustainable use, humanity's dependence on natural resources, and the necessity of striking a balance between development and conservation initiatives to save and restoration ecosystems gain traction as their significance for long-term. The battle with the aliens was both a warning and an opportunity for survival, bringing the risks to light of complacency and the necessity of ongoing innovation, while also demonstrating resilience's potential. With solidarity, the lessons learned served as a foundation for the future of humanity, influencing priorities, practices, and viewpoints at all societal levels as Earth advanced the craft of using arts and sciences to measure and manually control the world. In comes the first of the ships. The invasion's memories served as a potent reminder of what humanity was capable of when it came together for a shared goal. Once a sign of rudimentary survival, the spear has come to symbolize human ingenuity and the strength inherent in simplicity. Endeavor to overcome the most difficult obstacles.